Pasha Paroh Y Net 7, Trish McCabe, welcome back.
Hello.
I know it's been a long time. It's been a long time. You know, you guys know I do this. Okay, I be running here, and then I'll be like, you know what? I gotta go do this over here, and then I'll be gone. I'll be going. I told y'all subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell. That way, whenever I pop up, you get notified. That's all it is. I ain't got no more words than that. I mean, we just live in life, right? So we all gotta do what we gotta do. Okay. Today we got the snatch me back onto the screen with an inquiry about competition, and
Yes.
it was just very timely, and I hemmed the hard over like, now I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. I think maybe a week went by, and I was finally like, you know what, F it, let's just do it now, like right now, because if not, I won't do it. Like, cause I'm working on this other stuff over here, which I can't tell y'all about yet, but
Oh, cool.
I just been really busy.
Oh, I'm
So
intrigued. Okay, cool.
let's get into it. So Trish,
Yeah.
tell them how this got started, because it was you hit me up, you asked me a question. Go ahead, break it down.
Well, it's interesting. I'm going to go back. I'll try to make it as brief as possible. I got invited to do a radio show with these two young kids, and we talked about the topic of, I'm just going to use the scenario of competition. And he was like, well, if you had a singer come in that was better than you, what would you do? And I'm like, better than me. And this is where the rubber meets the road. I don't believe in better than. I don't see it that way. I see us all like snowflakes. We all have our own unique fingerprints, our own DNA. And I think it's designed that way, and competition suggests otherwise. What is a singer that's better than me? I just don't agree with that. No
Mhm.
two people are the same. I don't look at it like better. I look at it like apples and oranges. You're all fruit. Like, what's his name said in the movie My Big Fat Greek Wedding, he said, in the end, we're all fruit. We're just different. We just have different tastes, different strengths and weaknesses and whatnot. So, yeah. And that's been just pecking away at me for a long time. And we've kind of, you know, picked up little threads here and there connected to the idea of competition. And it just came to me. So I said, you know what, I'm going to send him a text message and ask him what he thinks. And I love your reply. So
Yeah, it basically was like, I'm I'm only in competition with myself. This was the actual response. And I said, I see all else as a conflict of interest. And that got you like, oh, we gotta talk. And so here we are.
I love that. When you say a conflict of interest, can you describe a situation that illustrates that truth, that point?
It's a great question. We're gonna probably describe a bunch of them for the people.
Cool.
But before we do that, let's first describe what competition is through etymology. You know me, we
Love
gotta
it.
go there. We gotta go
Yay,
there.
yes,
All right.
I love it.
So what we're gonna do is, there you see that competition is, or to compete, right? It's saying it's be in rivalry with, all right,
Yeah.
or directly,
Yes.
from late
Yes.
Latin competere, if that's how you say it, strive and comment. And then in Latin, coincide, agree, be fit for, and then come, which is together, the com part, com,
Yeah.
and then petere, right, means seek, aim at, or go toward. So in reality, right, if you have a word that means together seek, or together aim at, or together go towards, right? That's the root
Right.
of it. Then isn't that kind of like the way we utilize be in rivalry with,
Yes. And
or
to,
directly
yeah. Yeah.
today?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It makes me think about chasing after, in a sense, striving, um, to prove. yourself to someone else, you know, and that we go back to that bar of measuring ourselves against someone else. And when, if
Mhm.
you think about it, when when we are born into the world and we start to grow, everybody grows at different degrees. And we stop growing at different degrees, like our bone development, our brain, everything just, and it's all different. It's all in variation. So to suggest there's such a thing as competition is kind of an oxymoron. It doesn't,
The
and it goes
conflict.
against the truth of individuality, of individual beauty. And that, you know, that saying, the eye is in the beauty is in the eye of the beholder,
Mm.
you know, denies that truth.
Yes.
What one
Yes.
person thinks is beautiful or powerful might not be the same thing to another person. Um, but when you do that generalizing thing, that's when we really get into trouble. It causes a lot of inner conflict, inner struggle. I think it was Yana Van Zandt. She's someone I've been following for some time. She said, comparison is the thief of joy, because
So
you
you
never
guys,
feel like you're enough.
so,
You can't be another person. It's not possible.
so
It's
what's a
not even
rival?
possible.
What's a
Rival.
rival?
A rival is an enemy. I look at it like rival, you know, sibling rivalry. We used to have it as kids, you know, and that happens in the family unit big time, which I think where a lot of this grows. You know, sometimes the parent will, not even meaning to all the time, will focus on something that one child, they have several children, but one of the children has a particular strength. I'll say myself, I was a really good singer as a very young child, and I got a lot of attention, thus making feel the other children feel like they weren't lovable and they couldn't sing like me, so they thought that they weren't good enough or somehow less than, or, and it developed into jealousy and competitiveness and trying to prove their worthiness to my parents. And it was horrible for me because I never wanted it. I didn't want the attention. It was just something I was good at. And they kind of used me to entertain their friends. And I hated it. I never enjoyed it. So I don't know if that makes any sense. The rivalry, that's what came to me. It us up to be rivals. And that's not true. It's just they didn't look at my brothers and sisters, their gifts, and give them just as much praise and attention. You know, I was kind of,
So a rival is a competitor,
yeah,
and
yeah,
originally a person who uses the same stream as another. Now think about what the stream could be in life for people. It could be the workplace. It could be the attention, like you said. It could just be the fact that you sing and somebody else don't sing,
yes.
or they don't believe they can sing because they haven't put in the work yet.
And that's a big one. Thank you. I've had many people through the years say, I'm not as good as you. I'm like, according to who? Okay, first of all, Bob Dylan was not the greatest singer, but he sang with a lot of heart and a lot of feeling. He sang his way, you know, and not everybody likes the same things. Like people will say, oh, Whitney Houston is the greatest. And some people will say Dolly Parton is the greatest. Are they both lying? That's the greatest to them. It's the Some people don't like Dolly Parton and some people like Whitney Houston. Some people don't like either of them. Some people like the singer from Rage Against the Machine and so on. It's subjective. It's a
Exactly.
personal connection.
So
Mhm.
Webster defines the competition as follows: the effort of two or more parties acting independently to secure the business of a third party by offering the most favorable terms. So
Hmm.
in that definition there, right, you kind of see how competition forces one to I want not liquefy, but dilute themselves.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that?
Or change themselves. I mean, I was talking with, I may have mentioned this in a previous podcast, but it really just is so powerful. I remember seeing an interview with David Bowie, and they were asking David Bowie what made him get into entertainment. What was it that really made him want to go down that path? And he was talking about how he was at a live concert seeing the Rolling Stones. He was in the front row. And it was in the mid 60s where the guys are starting to grow their hair long. And the guy was saying to Mick Jagger, the singer of Rolling Stones, saying, "You need to cut your hair." And David Bowie's watching this go on. And Mick Jagger says to the guy, "Why? So I can look like you? I want to look like me. I don't want to look like you. I want to be myself." And think about what David Bowie did with that truth. He broke a lot of molds about being the idea of identity. I'm looking how many times he changed his outwardly appearance. Even he even wrote a song about it, to changes, emphasizing don't let anybody stick you in a box. Don't let anybody tell you this is the bar and you have to be this way and only this way, which negates individuality, which negates your own personal self-expression. It's
Right.
hard to do that when you're competing with this one particular bar, like we talked about in the education system,
Right.
in the previous podcast. And
let's merge it. Let's merge it. Look,
yeah.
Business,
Okay.
business. The etymology of the word business is pre-1325, the state of being busy, eager, or anxious. Not what we call business today, right? I mean, indirectly, people want to be busy, right? In their job or their role in life, they're self-employed or whatever it is. So business, pre-1325, the state of being busy, eager, or anxious. So in the community, people are divided over a measurement of how busy you are compared to another, how much work you put in compared to another.
About productivity.
So
you said
I've been about that. Yeah. So I've been putting all this work in, right? And you want me to just share it with you for free? No, you got to pay for this. We've all heard that, right? So you need to get busy too. Now, the issue with that, you've heard me always say, I don't convert people. This competition forces the conversion of people into a measurement. So if I say, hey, Trish, you really like task A, and B and C are kind of close to that. So why don't you work on A, B, and C? You know what I mean? I'll help you here and there, this, that, and the other, blah, 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 right? Bounce out ideas off you, help with perspective, whatever I can do. And meanwhile, I'm going to work on D, E, and F. Now, see, at the end of the day, together, right? What was the definition? Come together, align one on the task. So at the end of the day, together, we know 6 letters between the two of us. So imagine if there was more, right? In our little group, how many people would it take to learn the whole alphabet of task? I'm speaking metaphorically for the people that are going to be, in the comments or in their self saying, blah, blah, blah. Look, it's a metaphor. You substitute whatever you want. I'm an equations, not variables. So we got 2 people, 6 letters. How many people would it take to get the whole alphabet of tasks? Many people, and tell me what you think about this. Many people would rather be the best at just letter A. They're seduced with the recognition and they lose sight of the other parts that are combined with what they master, with what the others master as a whole. Being stuck on just the letter A, you can be the best, but you're still incomplete.
Yeah. And it's not all it's cracked up to be. Being the best, I think. I think the focus on being the best robs you of the journey too in life. When you're striving to be the best, you're missing out on life in the meantime,
Mm.
always just trying to be better. You're missing out on the other things, the living that's happening while you're busy trying to be the best, if that makes any sense. I think yeah, I think that, and the striving to it just makes people, what I don't like about it is it makes people feel not good enough. And I don't like that. That's why I'm talking about this, because I've seen what it does to other people. I know what it's done to me, but I see it every day, the hurt in people that feel
Yeah.
like they're not, that they don't measure up, like you said, the measuring. I will go back to, I think we mentioned this before, in the movie, oh, The Breakfast Club. And I don't know who's seen that movie, but they talk about this, the expectations that were put on them by their parents to measure up to the parents' idea of what they should be, what success is, and all of that. Which negates the truth that the ultimate success is living your life on your own terms. If you're
Exactly.
not able to live your life on your own terms, you can bet you're not going to be happy. You're going to be a people pleaser and doing a lot of things and spending a lot of times doing things you don't want to do to make other people happy. Thus, then we wonder why so many people they're so resentful and
Mm.
angry and have repressed emotions about it too.
Mm. It's a
And
great
there's
example.
layers.
It's
There's
a great
layers.
example right here.
Yeah.
Like this the first video I've done since December, you know. Um People are
Yeah.
gonna feel that type of way about it. Some people are gonna be like, glad he's back, whatever the comment is. But so when we're talking about those letters, right? Here's what happens because of competition. You say to someone, hey, look, let's work together, right? You work on this, I'm gonna work on that. And they're like, yeah, cool, that sounds good. But then when you go off and go work on that, right? And
Right.
come back and say, hey, look, I completed these tasks. It took me, this amount of time. They have animosity against you because they're focused on what I covered earlier about, hey, I just put all this work in over here doing this, and they're losing sight that you actually put in maybe the same, equal to, or possibly even greater work on those other letters that you wouldn't grab, so that when y'all came back together, the Voltron would be strong as hell.
Yeah.
So now there's a rift, and all of that time, not that it's wasted because it's still self-investment, but it's not, the potential is not manifested because there's a divide because of the competition in my, oh, well, I did all this over here, and they don't know what you've done. They didn't even ask, right? So they don't even know what the value is, because they're too busy thinking that you left them because you went and did your task for 6 months, a year, 3 months, whatever it is, and you ain't talked to them. Or maybe you talked to them and they were busy, and then y'all just kept missing each other. Now they feel like, oh, well, you ain't been here for the last year. Where you been? You've been doing what you said you was gonna do.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes. And there's more than one way to get a job done too, and so, how can I say this? When there's competition, it gets in the way of improvements in anything that you're doing. It can kind of, yeah, like I just went through a big thing. I was working with these coworkers, and I inadvertently made some suggestions to make everybody's job easier. But because it came from me, I guess maybe that wasn't acceptable because I was a newbie on the block at the job. And you know what I mean? So, and they had been there, a veteran, been there a really long time, and they just felt like, who are you to come in here? But see, the thing is somebody that comes into a new scenario can see things more objectively and go, oh, if we shifted this, man, this would just make everybody's job easier. And nope, they didn't want that. They put the kibosh on me, and yeah. I ended up having to leave, but which is so sad, because I mean, what if we just work together? You know, I feel this, what we're talking about, has gotten in the way a lot, where work, morality at work, morale, um, is a big problem in the workplace for these things that we're talking
How
about.
does morale affect competition?
Well, competition affects morale is the way I look at it. Like what I just went through. Uh, I had brought something to work to me to help me make my job better, and the old veteran didn't like that. And but if she'd have gotten in the right frame of mind, she could have, and she was a manager, she was above me, she was a supervisor. She could have seen how what I was doing could have empowered everyone, herself included. It's the cogs in a wheel thing. Man, if you could address this one cog that's getting in the way of timely productivity, where everybody can benefit from it, wouldn't that be a good thing? But because it came from me and it didn't come from her, they weren't going to allow it.
Right.
And how sad is that? How sad is that? They could have truly, it would have been a game changer. Truly, it would have been a big help to everyone. But because this person was threatened by me, and I didn't want the supervisor position. I just wanted it to make our jobs easier, you know, work smarter, not harder. You know, I wasn't after anything, just trying to help, really. Truly, I was trying to help. So
that reminds me of like when you tell somebody something today, right? And you come back and remind them of it later, and they're like, well, you're not the only one out there saying that. You know, that's to me, that's like them. You don't even know those other people they talking about. You ain't even hear what they said, right? So that's like them putting you in competition with another. What we say earlier was the definition from Webster, for the benefit of the third party, which is them in that matter. They want to pin you against someone else so that they can receive the extra value if you let them.
Yeah. And
it's like a form of gaslighting.
It is. Oh yeah, there's so much gaslighting in society. We were not aware of it. I even had somebody ask me about gaslighting the other day, and they were like, isn't it like psychological sabotage? Yeah, it is. But we've even been picked up gaslighting ourselves. It runs so deep. So, and that's helped to perpetuate this idea of competition in a big way, for sure, is an element. But it's just so sad, because my actual boss at this job there was nothing she could do, because all of the older employees, she was a new manager, had been there so long that she couldn't even do her job, because they just wouldn't let anyone in. They're not going to let anyone in. They don't want any change. And
they say that now, but guess what? As soon as you go on, they're gonna make all those changes you recommended and call it their own idea. It's like how many people have you helped get going in some direction, and they turn around later on once they got the momentum, and then they want to act like you never helped them, you never did nothing. See, they're measuring a difference, right? The change they have experienced. They were. Let's say the representation I like to use is tennis ball. Okay, so if a tennis ball is sitting still, all right, and you either are the racket or you whack it with the racket, right? You get it going. You get the momentum built up. You get it going in that direction, okay? So the change that the tennis ball has experienced wasn't present up until you did. Actually, it wasn't even present when you did or said what you did or said. See, you knew the potential.
Yeah.
They will never know what it meant for you to help them or say what you said to them the way you did when you did it. They'll never know it, right? Or maybe they do. And that's why they want to hide it from not only you, an attempt to hide it from you, like you gonna forget, but attempt to hide it from the rest of the world, because they're in competition with you, even though you helping them. Like the tennis ball, forgetting that the racket once it scored the point. It's just like the tennis ball wants to celebrate and forget the racket when it scores the point.
And here's the thing. If they do that, I'm happy.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not doing my podcast for me.
They don't get that part.
I'm not doing it for me. I'm doing it for everyone. I want to be able to have these very important conversations. I don't care who gets the, like I share memes all the time with people's names. I don't care if they get the credit for the quote and whatever, you know, as long as they're saying it.
As long as the change happens.
As long as we're allowed to talk about these things and address these issues. I don't care where it comes from. I mean, and that's the difference between power and empowerment.
Yes.
They're two very different things. The motive behind them are very different. And that's why they say real leaders create leaders. It's not about leading even. It's about empowerment for everyone. Why not?
Right.
What can it hurt? Everyone be happy? Oh, gee, what a crazy idea we have here.
Yeah, that's probably why some people don't get when you plant the seed and then you leave, because you gave them the empowerment. Now it's up to them to let it grow inside and reach their potential with it and with their swag. You know, so they're mad at you because you left, but you left because one, you had to go either help other people or help yourself and or both. And that gives them the time to develop at their own pace instead of you standing there talking about, you're not good enough. Get it now. Get it now.
You gotta do it my way.
You.
No. Yeah.
Right. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
and even that, the my way
it.
thing even is, you know, you could give them an idea and they might expound on it from their perspective, and great. Promote growth. What a concept. Like I saw your post today and I really loved it. It was something about this. You got to work on what was it? You got to work on yourself first.
Sometimes you need to break away from, sometimes you need to break from building others to build yourself.
Yes, because then and that's what David Bowie did. He was a great, and he inspired people to go after their dreams, be themselves, be true to themselves. You want to be Ziggy Stardust today? Great. You want to be the guy in Tin Man in a suit? Great. No holds barred. It's not even thinking out of the box. There is no box. There's no set way to do it. And that's what I don't like about competition, because this is one bar, which is so limiting. Yet someone else will come along and come up with this whole other way. Why can't we just have that all the time? Why can't we just be innovative all the time? What's wrong with that idea?
Competition kills innovation.
It does, yeah, because it puts a bar and says, and a cap, and this is where you have to be. And it makes people doubt their visions if they see something different, if they see another approach. And then it gets back to who gets the credit. Because
who wants the credit?
Who gets the credit?
Hey, you know, that's kind of like what was going on just now, you know. Most people know by now, I came down to Charlotte, I don't know, going on 8 years ago now. And I had this goal, right? I still have the goal. But what happens is when you have a goal and you don't know what it takes to achieve the goal, you just know you're going to go accomplish it. You start learning all this new shit, right? You get exposed to all this new stuff. And then you're like, oh, I need to learn this. And then once you learn that, you're like, damn, now I need to learn this and that and this. And then once you do all that, it's all these forks in the road. It's all these trees in the tributary, right? Or branches like a tree in a tributary or a root system to get you to the trunk of what you're trying to accomplish in life, right? So to someone on looking from the outside might say, hey, you know, Pasha bullshit. You know what I mean? He went down. He said he was gonna get a city and start building a city and do all this stuff, and he down there doing everything but that. Well, you know what happens is there's a lot of components of running building. First of all, knowing what logistically you need, learning all this stuff about what it would take on a micro scale before you can even know enough to apply it to a macro scale. And so here's what I'm saying. you may find yourself in the rabbit holes, learning all this other stuff you need so that you can become great in what your original task was at some point in the future. But if you stay locked in on that task, yeah, you might be the best A that we were talking about. You might be the best A. But if you had took the time, like you were mentioning, you're over here, mentioning to enjoy the journey, you would have wandered through the B, the C, the D, the E, the F, the G, the H, the elemental P by yourself.
Yeah.
Right. And then when you said, oh shit, you know what? Because this is what happened. I was like, you know what? I came down here and I said, once I get myself together, I'm going to be able to go back and study and continue my studies with A, B, C, and D. And I did little here, little there, but not to the level that I really would have anticipated I would have been at right now. And when I did a self-analyzation of why, I was like, because directly or indirectly, majority of my time and energy has been spent trying to help others that maybe not even acknowledge to themselves that I was helping them. So at the end of the day, right, do you continue to put yourself, what's the definition of insanity? Do you continue to put yourself in that situation? Or do you say, you know what, enough's enough, and let me go back. Now that I got all, you didn't lose any time because you spent the time investing in all this other stuff, right? Knowledge-wise. You know all this other stuff now. Now it's the perfect time to go back and finish what you started, because now you're more complete of the alphabet. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. That's what happened. And I was sitting there and I was like, you know what? I gotta break away from this for a minute. I'm not even done yet.
Yeah. Departures are good.
Yeah.
They allow you to get a little, to get that objectiveness, you know, see it from a different view. And competition negates that a lot of the time. Doesn't.
Absolutely.
It's limited. I don't know why I keep hearing George Harrison. He has a song. If you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there.
Yeah, definitely.
When you're attached to an outcome, it can actually block you from seeing many different avenues of getting to what you're after, and actually keep you from getting there, if that makes any sense. And I feel the most negative thing about competition is it really does kind of suck the vitality out of people.
That's a great, because that's a great. I'm gonna drop this on you and you keep going with that thought. Some other definitions of competition include active demand by two or more organisms or kinds of organisms for some environmental resource in short supply, and a contest between rivals. So think about what you just said, right? About the draining factor, okay? Yeah. And then think about, you know, plug in the variables for organisms and kinds of organisms, right? Organisms, it could be an individual, it could be your spouse, it could be the people you're calling friends, or kinds of organisms, maybe a company, okay? But they're competing for some environmental resource in short supply, like your time, attention, I know you want my energy. You know what I'm saying? So go ahead, continue where you're going with that now.
Well, what I don't like really at the core, and why I wanted to talk about this, is because it makes people feel less than. I don't like winners and losers. I don't like that model. Who's anyone to tell you if you're a loser? Nobody has that power to tell you what your value is for any reason. You don't measure up because this person's better at, you know, tetherball or whatever in school. So you're not able to play the game. So you don't even get invited to play the game, and suddenly you're sitting on the sidelines. I don't want that model. No, that's not accurate. And it's like in the movie, The Breakfast Club, where the kid wanted to kill himself because he was not a handyman. That wasn't his strength. He was a numbers guy. He was a mathematician. He was what's the word? Yeah, more mathematical, more left brain. And he was in this class where he had to build a lamp and make it go on. He couldn't go on. He wanted to kill himself because he didn't get a good grade and his parents were going to give him a lashing. And he was embarrassed and thought there was something wrong with him. And I'm sorry, I'm just going to say that's bullshit. That's crap. Why should someone be made to feel that they don't have the same strength as another person, like there's something wrong with them? Do you think that Albert Einstein cared that he wasn't good at football? Or that if someone said, can you play, and he couldn't, he probably couldn't, because that's just silly. It's wrong and it's silly. And that's what I don't like about competition, is just because you don't get something that other people do, that they make it like there's something wrong with you. And yet many of those people end up being extremely successful in their field, in the thing that they're good at.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
And then, you know, I'll tell you something that'll change your life. Is when someone tells you they want to commit suicide, and you know that you can't help them. You can't help them. I mean, you can't help. There's nothing you can say. There's nothing you can do. They're either going to be here tomorrow or one day they're not. So to go back to what you were getting at, though, competition tends to limit prices, right? And this forum that I got this particular set of notes from that I'm reviewing now was speaking about it from a business standpoint. I like to, you know me, I like to use the equations, just, even though they're different variables, to show how the equation remains true. So competition tends to limit the prices a company can charge for its goods or services. Now, if we mix up that, if we scrabble that, right, the limit of prices would be like when you were just talking about the value that people impose on you for whatever that good or services was in exchange, whether that's you being there in a relationship, you know, maybe you work too much, or maybe you're this, or maybe you're that, and they want to diminish your value because of this. That's all competitive shit. Because if we look at the same equation,
diminish, I like that.
Competition tends to limit the prices
yes.
a company can charge for its goods or services. Elaborate on that.
Yeah, I saw somebody talking about that. I'm still in the works on our monetary system.
What do you think about it on a personal level, Trish?
Value, yeah, I don't like anything that limits people.
You see what I'm saying?
I don't like somebody instilling or enforcing a bar in any way, shape, or form. I don't like that. Like minimum wage. First of all, I don't like minimum. I don't like that terminology. And they're saying, well, you know, they're saying you can't go below that. Yeah, but they're starting from the minimum. I don't like that, first of all. But I don't, and it indicates the truth that, you know, the cost of living varies. And your pay rate should be connected to that truth of your pay rate should be a percentage rate based upon your local economy, if you're going to go there. But even then, I don't like that. It generalizes. I think that, how can I word what I'm trying to say? I just think if we have an economic structure that suggests that a dollar amount is your value, needs some revisions. What that is, I don't exactly have it sorted in my mind, but I know one thing. I don't like one bar where you're dealing with humans and you just have this one limited bar. I think no one else outside of ourselves has a right to tell us what our value is in any way, shape, or form. Because it's just not true.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's
Maybe
not
we're
true.
looking in the wrong spot. Maybe the bar is unlimited, but it's a projection issue. If we want to bring up a topic from a previous video, go check that out on the channels. Maybe it's a projection issue that's causing the even existence of the bar in our minds.
Well, actually, if you want to look at the greatest commodity that there is, it absolutely unequivocally is our time we get to spend on this planet. And what are we doing with it? It's our most precious, most valued commodity. It's every minute, every second, every millisecond. We get to breathe and be here.
Living la vida loca.
What are we doing with it? When it's been devalued and beyond. Our economic structure directly opposes that truth. And I feel strongly that's what needs to be addressed. We spend how many hours a week on a job we're never going to get back. We don't get a refund. That's time we don't get to spend with our children, time we don't get to spend in our creative projects, time we don't get to spend sleeping. Just why is not valued? And we're treated like, oh, well, so what? It's like, no, you don't get, we're throwing away the time like it's confetti. Oh, well.
Yeah.
Here we are, we spent 2.5 years trying to keep everybody alive in the event of a deadly disease, a world pandemic. To what? Go back to work? Working a job we don't like with toxic people and not even making a living wage. Yeah. Where's the vitality? How you want to get vitality out of that? And they bat you against each other, even within those constructs. They call it a career.
That was just
target is not a career. Yeah, if you're a manager, okay, and you like it, please, I don't mean disrespect. I'm just saying, to me, what a career is a dream. Pursuing your dream.
They had to keep you indoors so that you would appreciate the potential of a nuclear attack following the quarantine. Just go ahead and keep staying in the house now, because now you gotta stay in for something different now. Radioactive potential, keep staying inside. You've been in there 2 years. Just go ahead. What's another year to you? You know what I'm saying? So
things that make you go, I mean, really it is that we don't pay for everything with money. We pay for it with our time. And competition has played a big role in just stealing our lives from us, so to speak, our spirits from us. Yeah. Can you imagine people didn't have to feel competitiveness in any way?
They don't. I don't. That's why they don't like me and people like me and think like you and stuff, because they can't trigger you with that competitive shit. You know what I mean? Like, for example,
and that's
we were just talking about
watch
this. We were just talking about the nuclear potential and the being inside the house of quarantine. I put a song out called So that had everything from the quarantine to the radio, all the way to the attacks, the military stuff, all in the same song, all in the same video. Some people got it. I applaud them. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Everything in the headlines today was in that song from 4 years ago. 4 years ago. So, hey, look, check this out, because you said something about how it opposes truth, right? And that's a great segue to these other set of direction I wanted to take this conversation in. So let me paraphrase for you, or let me prepare the stage for you. So as competition increases, companies have to offer, they said, innovative deals, right, to customers to try and woo them into buying their goods and services. So not only me throwing this in there on the table, not only does that make them non-authentic, but if you're wooed into something, it kind of takes you out of your lane and space, so you're non-authentic too, right?
Yeah, you're like seduced by it.
Intense competition among businesses takes away. And remember, I'm giving you from a business standpoint, right? But think about the business being exchanged for any interaction in your life. Okay, that's the goal here with this conversation. So intense competition, and I'm saying that to the people. I know. So intense competition among businesses takes away a lot of freedom from firms in terms of product pricing, quality, and costs. This results in pressures on margins at the operating level as well as the net income. So quality and innovation or creativity can be lost. And this is a form of keeping up with the Joneses, I'm gonna call it, but not in the way that we think, where you're living, you're going above. It's you're like, yo, yeah, we want our product to have this, that, and the other, boom, bam, this. But the public is, so-and-so's only charging, X amount for theirs. And if we do all that, we're gonna have to charge 3 times that. We'll never get any customers. Oh, take this out of it, take that out of it. Don't put this into it, do that, water it. That's the dilution. The same way we dilute ourselves when we lower our value to fit in elsewhere, right?
Yes.
Build on that.
I can see that. I think
could have been a great product, could have been the next Apple.
Yeah, it detracts from the quality. Pretty soon they have to cut corners, and it makes other companies have to cut corners in order to be able to compete with the cost. I totally get what you're saying. Yeah, the quality goes. And quantity versus quality.
Great point.
When there's quantity involved, when it negates the truth of quality. Less is more. Does that mean productivity to our detriment? If that makes any sense. But
absolutely.
I totally get what you're saying. Yeah.
Look, I got a graph for you. To keep going with that. So company A, right? Company A says 20% market share, right? Company B says 15% market share. Company C may not, my big body may be in the way. Company C says 10%. Company D says 10%. And down at the very bottom there, Company E has 5%. So if you look at that, right, let's just look at the top 3, because my head might be in the way for the rest. So if you look at that, anyone was to pick this statistic up, who would you think is the most successful company just based on this information?
And now that is a really good word. Success is subjective. What we're told is successful or is success isn't always the case.
Exactly.
It depends on what you're after.
Yes.
And so when you have this one model of success, it steals the other possibilities away from people of being innovative. And
which is why you can't compare the journeys of 2 different individuals.
Yes, because some people want a $13 million mansion, and some people want a cabin in the mountain, and both are okay. It's fine, whatever floats your boat. I see people say, "Oh, he works at McDonald's." What if he's happy? He's working at McDonald's, this part-time job. It's enough for him to get some extra money so he can spend time with his kids, and maybe he's got a little something else on the side. And you don't know anything about that person that works at McDonald's. Quit with it. Like, just let people be who and where they are. Let yourself be who and where you are. That's another thing. When we allow ourselves to be who we are, untruthful to ourselves, we are not worried about what anybody else is doing. And competition doesn't do that. Competition creates that, and always comparing.
And you said quantity. You said quantity versus quality. That's another great example here, because it would be easy to say that company A here is the best company or the leading company in the industry, however measurement, because they have 20% of the market share. But if their 20% is only spending $1, right, once a year with them, they're really this is misleading, because if company C may only have 10%, but if they're 10% of the market share is spending $5 with them every week, they're probably outperforming the company A, even though it appears that they have the 20% and that they're the better or more popular company by number.
But then you find out, yeah, they're more popular, their numbers are up, but their customer service stinks. And their product isn't all that great either.
Right.
The quality goes to shit when productivity, your morale goes to shit. I mean, it's like when you cook, if you cook with love and care, the food tastes better. You can tell the difference. When it's mass produced, bleh, it's the same mentality, it's the same principle. What you put in, you can't, it's real hard to plant shit trees and think you're going to get anything other than shit. I'm sorry.
So
I can't think of a better way to put it, but it really, if you don't have any, what's the word I'm looking for? Pride, I guess, the good side of pride.
if you aren't proud of what you're doing.
Yeah, and the quality and of the experience that person's going to have with your product and truly come from that place, you might get your numbers, but what are you perpetuating?
Right. That's like the like cars, for example. It's a great example. People, you got one set of mindsets of people that are like, oh, it's a Mercedes. Oh, they think they're all this. No, what it is that when you look at F1, right? F1 Formula One racing, Mercedes been doing pretty well. You know what I mean? So that information, that knowledge, they beat Ferrari sometimes. You know what I mean? So that information gets trickled down into the consumer cars over some time, and then what they're actually selling is not a car, but what they call a driving experience. So now when you paddle shifting down, I-77, with the paddle shift, you're actually using some previous Formula One technology that's now in your car. So it's not really about, like, for a person like me, it ain't about Mercedes being on the front of the car. It's about the fact that I can go and take a corner and power slide and peel out, and that, you know what I'm saying? And that's only because that's my realistic level now, until I can get the, the Maseratis and the Ferraris. You know what I'm saying? So you want a certain experience that you're after. But here's what my question is for you with that on the table. What is a luxury car to you? You see, because, and I want you to answer that, right? And then, who are they competing with, right? Now watch this in your mind, everybody. What's that luxury car to you? And then who would you say they are competing with? And the realistic answer is they're only competing with themselves in reality to produce the best product that they can, right? Oh, yeah. They're super wealthy people who only drive a Toyota. See, that brand new Honda Accord Coupe is something luxurious to somebody. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yes. Mm-hmm.
So who are you in competition with? Just yourself as a brand or individual.
I've heard people argue with me, and I want to see what you think about this phrase, healthy competition. What's that?
Like,
please tell me what that is.
That's like saying healthy abusiveness.
People will say sports, and they'll use that as a good model. But to me, they've just ruined sports, because it used to be fun. It used to be something that we did to enjoy ourselves, and it wasn't even really about winning as much as it was just to play the game. And now that it's about winning and there's so much money on the table, so much at stake, it's become stressful and highly competitive and ruining the initial reason they formed the game to begin with, in my opinion.
Okay.
So I don't know. Is it possible to play a game and not be competitive?
Well, here's the thing. Sports, the etymology of the word sport is joke. J-O-K-E. Absolutely J-O-K-E. And I think sports, if you want to generalize just the concept of what a sport is and sport, because everything is being made a sport now. That's the issue. And sports are naturally competitive. Even, if you want to go back to Roman Coliseum days, the sport was gladiator. It was about you better
I was
win or
just
else
gonna
you're gonna
mention that.
die. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's
Yeah.
always been about winning. The thing is, it's only about winning to the individual on the team or the team. When you learn or study infinite versus finite game theory, right? The infinite game theory versus the finite game theory. This is where you hear me get the concept of don't play to win, play to be able to play forever. See, the team or the individuals on the team are playing to win that game. They are very limited. They have a field or a court, some sort of out of bounds marker. They can't go beyond that marker. They have to stay inside that box. Then you have a certain construct of time. You can't go, a quarter is 15 minutes in basketball or whatever it is, and it's this long in football, and a period is this long in hockey, and you got 9 innings in baseball that is controlled by this many outs. You know what I'm saying? There's all these limitations that you have to stay within. That's how you win the game. You have to play within the limitations. However, the NBA, the MLB, the NHL, whatever it is for soccer, they win the what I'm saying is the owners of the league, not the teams and not the people playing on the teams. They win simultaneously while people are winning and losing on the level below them. The teams are winning and losing, but they're constantly winning no matter what, because their mindset is in a position of being able to play the game that they're playing forever instead of just playing to win. Because ultimately, what it takes to win is unsustainable, which is why Michael Jordan isn't playing in the league right now. And LeBron, I don't know what the hell he's doing this year with the Lakers, but you know what I'm saying? Whoever's the greatest is only going to be a greatest for a period of time, right?
Yeah. And any one of them, if they broke a leg and they could never play again, it would be devastated. The gift is being able to play. So when it becomes so stressful, it just kind of don't even know, why would you want to play it after a while? It's not fun anymore. It's all the fun out of it. So I don't really know if there's such a thing as healthy competition.
Nah, it's like saying healthy toxicity.
Yeah.
Well, you gotta, the dose that you receive, it was below lethal levels, so you should be fine eventually. You know what I mean? It's like
I think of this Tom Petty song, He Opens Up with, I love it. He said, and I may have mentioned this before, you never had a chance, babe, so good looking, so insecure. Now, here's the thing, being a girl and being pretty, right? That's a big, important thing. That's just instilled upon you from the time you're really little. Here's the problem with that. There's always going to be a prettier girl. If you're going to look at it from the face value. And how can you ever be secure with that? Always fearful that the next flavor of the month is coming. Whether you're
that's those internal.
Yeah. And man, again, if beauty is in the eye of the beholder,
they might want a big booty.
Your beauty is being stolen from you from someone else's idea of what beauty is, and that's not fair.
They may not be worried about that type of beauty. The beauty may be a big booty to them. You know what I mean? So that person that doesn't have or is feeling, when they look in the mirror and they say, "Oh, I'm not the most beautiful face," but they might have that booty, and it make up for her. She ain't got to worry about that. But if she's stuck here in her mind, worried about her face, she'll lose sight of somebody else that values something else with her, and they might even get together and be in a relationship, and then she's still having these moments of issues like, "Oh, I'm not," and he's like, "Look, that's not even what I'm really like."
If you ask every man and you ask them what sexy is, they'll all tell you something different.
Oh, that's something different.
Some like legs, some like boobs, same thing with women. It's like it varies. So
that's why I don't be in competition.
There isn't, and it's a lie. And it is so harmful. And because and then you see some people that maybe aren't conventionally beautiful that are extremely successful, and it because how you feel about yourself, your sex appeal, your essence is how you feel about yourself. And when you see somebody who's really confident, and I don't even know if I like that word, but they're okay with themselves. They've accepted themselves and they carry themselves with dignity and pride in the healthy way. And that's probably about the most attractive thing I think a person can possess is
Self-confidence,
to be okay with what they have.
self-value.
Your self-value and not be measuring it to anybody. Talk about freedom. That's the ultimate freedom, and I think that just goes across the board.
I agree with you. I've been steering this. I've been steering this in a direction, and I really appreciate your time. And the higher the competition, the higher would be the value to the consumer. And see, now let's flip that, right? So we got we mentioned the gaslighting effect. See, so the consumer then becomes empowered to gaslight both of the other two people in this third party triangle situation, whether it's an individual or a company or a group of people or what have you, right? So the benefit goes to them, the competition wins. So think about it. When you were talking about the wins and losses of sports and the pain or the enjoyment of winning and the agony of defeat, all of that's put together as a stage show to benefit the consumer, which is the fans or the onlookers or the advertisers, for that matter, that's going to pay X amount of dollars to put their little commercial in between the little glimpses you get of someone dunking the basketball, right?
Yeah, my team. That's my team.
Yeah, it's not your team. It's not your team. You don't have no part in that team. Like, but you wear a jersey. You see what I'm saying? Because you bought one. So it's mental.
It's so true. And it really, it's a big problem in our society. This is a really big element. It's very toxic. And what Yanavan said, comparison is the thief of joy. If you don't get to own your own gifts, you don't get to see your value, what you bring to the table. That's what I love. David Grohl has this quote that I share from time to time. There is only one you, and that is your power.
I got a song. Right? I got a song called "Results May Vary," and it says, "You can never beat me at being me. I can never beat you at being you." Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. So, hey, so here's you've mentioned this word a couple times, and I want to show you how. I'm not saying I magically put it there, but I'm so glad you mentioned it. I've been talking about it indirectly, and this is what I've been building up for as a climax. So while the literature on competition, right, per this article, can go on and on, right? One does wonder if there's a way to measure competition. And obviously we know the answer is yes. But here's what I want to bring to the table, because this is going to be why you hear my response in the very beginning is competition. When it comes from anywhere outside of yourself, you're not just only in competition with yourself. To me, it's a conflict of interest. And that's because of the definition of measure. Hold on a second. Let me spin this around for you. Bum, bum, bum. How do I... Okay, this one caught me off guard. Anyway, look, so it's there, right? But to measure, measure is to control, to govern, to regulate. That's what it means originally before 1325.
God, that's so true. It makes me think of feet. You'll measure a person's feet, but they're not all the same. Every person's foot is completely different. It might be as minute as it can get, but but it varies. Variety, so to you can't, and then there's you cannot measure a person's essence.
So go deeper than
Soul,
that with what
you know?
go deeper than that with what we've really built a lot of these points on. When we were talking about gaslighting earlier, and I was saying how I've been like dropping in there with you and the people, hey, look, the person that's playing the consumer role is able to gaslight. The individual people that are trying to win the consumer over are gaslighting. Measure means to control, govern, or regulate. So now think about what we've talked about, what we've covered this whole time frame. All of the examples, all of the relationships, all of those interactions we don't talked about. And if you're measuring them, you're either knowledgeable of the fact or you're ignorant of the fact that you are either attempting to control and or participating in the control of something outside of
A
yourself.
market.
Well, just outside of yourself.
Yeah. Yes.
Which the only thing that we can control is ourselves. Conflict of interest.
It is. It goes against nature even. It really does.
That's why any examination we look at of examples of competition, it's always going to be some sort of, like, you could call it insanity or mental
Slavery.
Slavery is a good word.
Bob Marley talked about it.
Yeah.
Mental slavery.
Bondage, yeah.
Emancipate yourself, free yourself of these constructs that limit who you are. Again, I'll go back to David Bowie. He lived life on his own terms. What is success? If you're not living your life on your own terms, what is the point in being here? You're just always trying to win everybody over. For what? These people aren't living your life. They're not living with the consequences of your choices. You are. So why would you want to do that? So it's a waste. And really, it all comes down to the truth of the most powerful gift we have is our time here on this planet. And that's the direction that we need to move into in humanity, that truth. What you get to do here is the most valuable gift there is. And if this pandemic hasn't brought that truth to the table, I don't know what else can. I think many people like myself that were home, not working, gave everybody a huge opportunity to reflect, to get some sleep also. And also to realize how sleep deprived we've been on the hamster on the treadmill work model. And people realize, God, I never get to spend time with my children. I never get time to paint, to do my music, to decorate my house, whatever. Things that bring your soul, that feed your soul. And no amount of money can bring that. Yes, it can help, but ultimately, the time that we get to spend, the quality of time we get to spend here is so important. But yet everything and all that we're talking about doesn't facilitate that. It robs you of it. Man, next thing you know, you're 50 years old and your life's passed you by, nothing you got. What have I been doing? I don't want that model. I think the children of today and the future deserve better. They should be able to live their life on their own terms and be free and enjoy this time that we get here, because we don't get it back. We don't get a refund.
That is true. It's true for this particular life, you know what I mean? This particular go round.
Yeah, this particular dimension or wherever it is we are, but you know what I mean? I will say this, and it may sound even melodramatic, but I mean, that's what breaks my heart about my sister more than anything, is she woke up in the end and realized, oh my God, my sister was very suicidal. So she realized the person that was missing in her life was herself.
Yeah, I had someone
too ill, and she had just done so much physical damage to her body. Her body just gave out, but it was devastating. It kills me. because she did know this truth that we're talking about right here. She became aware of it.
Yeah,
And
that was that's part of my like epiphany. You know, like I said, that comment I made about suicide, you know, that was recent. Someone recently, and it was like, it was just an experience, and it was like, you know what, I really need to work. It made me say to myself, you know, I really need to work, even though I thought I was going fast as I could. It made me want to turn up. You know what I mean? I need to go even harder.
urgency.
And yeah, because
Man,
we got to change this. So
yeah.
that's that's part of what I had. A bunch of stuff happen that just made me say, you know what, I gotta do this. I gotta do
life
this.
is the greatest gift we're given.
So
and
look,
we have a world full of people that want to commit suicide.
but we don't know it. That's what was perplexing about it, is because, you know, and I want to keep this on competition, but
Yeah,
the perplexing part about it was,
yeah, sorry.
you know, when you start to know things, like, this is why I brought this up, because this was something that I shared. Actually, what today's the 6th, so I shared this memory. You know how Facebook works on memories. I like memories because it reminds me of things. And, you know, I was already on this level of this right here 4 years ago, so that means you knew it for so many long before that. But when you come back and get to revisit that thought, you've grown so much in, let's say, these 4 years, that now it has an even more profound meaning for you. You know what I mean?
And you can see your progress, which is so nice.
Right, like a book,
your own
you read it the second time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this one, look, says, once we realize we are the universe, we no longer need to reach for the stars. Pasha Paroh 2018. Now, when we tie this into competition, when you already realize we are the universe, this whole measurement system. See, that's why I got this mentality, like, I'm immeasurable.
I love that.
Don't compare me to this person over there or that person over there. You know what I mean? I don't even do that. And if you do that, that's cool. That's what you're doing. I don't even really buy into it, because once we realize we are the universe, we no longer need to reach for the stars. So you can't measure infinity. And when you go back and watch the CIA document that I did on the where, like, time is an emotion, and we were studying the gateway. They call it the gateway. We're part of this infinity. So now to tie that into the suicide situation, once you learn that when we leave this emotion that we call time of an experience, that we actually return back to source, right? And become part of that infinity omnipresence again. Now, when somebody tells me that, I'm like, you know what? Who are we to say today that that's not for them? Which goes back to that whole, you know, anyway, that's another conversation. But competition is, once we realize we are the universe, we no longer need to reach for the stars. Will LeBron James be LeBron without the team? Is he going to win the championship without the team? Did Michael Jordan win the championship without Scottie Pippen? You know what I'm saying? Whatever your favorite team is,
interconnected, whether we want to own up to that truth or not. Competition separates, and we're not separate. We are interdependent. We do actually need one another. It's just true.
Even to the point of, do the advertisers, did Pepsi or whoever pay, I don't watch the Super Bowl, but whoever was the top commercial, did they pay $5 million for that commercial just because of one player? No, they played it because of the whole experience that we know as the NFL as a whole. So, not to say go out there and play your game if you're in the sport and just don't give a fuck. Like, I'm not one of them people that's like, oh, you know, everybody gets a trophy, second place, fifth place, ninth place, everybody gets a medal. I'm not one of those people. You either win or you lose, but know that you signed up for that. But at the same time, that's why some people don't sign up for it. Like some of the greatest dunkers, and then tell me what you think here, and then we'll wrap it up. Some of the greatest dunkers, like, you know, being able to dunk the basketball, they don't play in the NBA. They're in a sport that's solely just dunking. Why? Because they know they may not be able to shoot the 3-point ball. They may not be able to post up and make a move, but they're the best at dunking and putting on a show and performing when it comes to dunks.
Yeah.
Be who you are. You can't like the professor. For those that know street ball, the professor never went to the NBA.
And I'm going to just take this across the board for the closing here. The idea of winning and losing. When you lose, you're also winning. We need to change our attitude about losing or making a mistake. It's essential, and even more essential than the winning. How would you be able to appreciate winning if you didn't lose a few? Duality. It goes back to duality. You can't, if you're not allowed to make mistakes, how are you going to know when you're being successful? If you touch a hot stove and you burn yourself, that's how you know the stove is hot. It has a purpose, and it's just as important, if not more important, than winning. The journey, the little things as you're getting along. If you make a mistake and you learn, cool. It's good. We need to change that negative outlook on losing or making a mistake, doing something wrong. How are you gonna know what right is if you don't know what wrong is? It's so, we just don't have it quite right on this stuff, and that's why we're talking about it, right?
I hear your point. I hear your point. And then if I was to refine it, right, I would say we gotta fucking win, all right? But here's what we gotta change what we're thinking that we're winning, because what we gotta win is ourselves. So if we focus on winning / or losing ourselves, then damn right, we don't want to lose. We don't want to lose. So the angle is, the problem is when we start wanting to win, like I said, the way I put it is things external from you. Whenever the competition is external from yourself, now it's a conflict of interest. And that goes into like a lot of other things, projection, gaslighting, all the other stuff we talked about, because once you start being in that battle of, I don't want to lose something, or I'm trying to win something outside of myself, you open yourself up to all kinds of manipulation and control, because that's what the definition of measure is.
I like measure is the key word in this whole, everything we're talking about, the measuring. Yeah, because there is no way to do that, because we're all unique. It's not accurate. That's right.
Don't measure me. I'm immeasurable. We're immeasurable.
Every time we have children, they're different. They all have a unique set of DNA. It's designed that way. So
hey, look, let me ask you this, right? Closing thought. Isn't to be, you know what, I like analogies. So I won't put it in analogy form, but let me ask you this question. Isn't to be measured the same as to be put in a box? And we got all these people out here talking about, don't put me in a box, and then they go out there and be competitive.
They don't understand the full scope of that statement quite yet.
Right.
And that's what we're here to do, is help people understand this so they can free themselves from mental slavery, as Bob Marley said.
Hey, one show at a time. I appreciate your time.
Ditto. Appreciate your time, Trish. So much. I'm so grateful to be here, and I will be sharing this on my page, and I think I can share it on my School of Hard Knocks page, and I will be doing that as well if I can. So,
definitely, people go check out her channel. She got some good conversations.
Thank you so much. I'm so starting off the new year on a good note.
Always a perfect day. Thank you for tuning. I'm Pasha Paroh, Trish McCabe, Y Net 7. Peace.
Peace.